says that the NCAA should start threatening the death penalty to make any difference. I think Mike was missing the point of our conversation is they can't. They're taking a pillow to a missile fight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how you could realistically threaten a death penalty over, whatever booster-related incidents are going on. I don't know. They've been hesitant to do that ever since they basically nuked SMU's program, and they haven't handed it out since then. I think that's something that they just absolutely positively do not want to delve into, and that's why you haven't seen them use it in any other cases since then. So we're going on 40 years now since the SMU death penalty. I mean, that's, I think for a lot of us who are in 30s, 40s or whatever, when you think of like 1980s, whatever, you think, oh, that's like 20 years ago. I know that was 40 years ago, the SMU case, practically. So, yeah, I don't think that that's any threat that anybody would take that seriously unless you are somebody who has just so egregiously broken every rule imaginable that, you have no leg to really defend yourself. And I can't imagine any school's dumb enough at this point to open themselves up that way. And so much of the booster stuff that's going on, again, it's not with the schools, even though I fully believe it is in a lot of cases. Like, I think that's a total BS that anybody really think, oh, it's not the schools, it's the boosters. Yeah, but who are they talking to? Where are they getting their direction from? Now, we know there's some cases of like a maverick guy who's out there just, oh, 4-star, let me go grab him from my favorite team, but there's some guidance there out there somewhere. You're not just throwing money at recruits and then bringing them on board and here, coach, deal with it. No, there's something, but like how you would prove that, I don't know. And that's the only thing that you could really do you'd have to have like some coach talking directly to a booster, telling him of a guy and what to offer in some situation like that. And I just can't imagine that's probably, coming up anytime soon. So, yeah, I mean, you can threat all you want, but if you don't really have anything backing up that threat, then it's just an empty threat.
And look, and is it illegal for a player to tell a coach that like this alumni at this university offered me $75,000 a year base when I get there with opportunity to make more? Can you do 100? And then the coach calls a couple of boosters and says, hey, is this kid, can we do this in this collective? I mean, yeah, that stuff's gotta happen. It's going to happen all the time. Mike also said, how about a cap for as much money, NIL money, as a school can make? Again, Mike, and I said this yesterday on the show, you might have missed it. NIL money doesn't come directly from the school. I mean, it might be, arbitrated a little bit by it, like we just said. But how about a cap on how much money you can make in your life? Would you like a cap on how much money you can make?
I feel like there's one sometimes, but yeah. No, I wouldn't want one. And no, there's not one. Yeah, and
that's what it is.
The only thing that has a cap is, the NFL or, a professional sports organization of your choice. Those are leagues that have caps. College sports does not have a cap. And all you would do by saying, okay, well, Quinn Ewers can only make $10,000 from boosters. Well, Quinn Ewers would go to his favorite lawyer and say, hey, let's blow them out of the water on this, and they would sue and they would win because you can't put a cap on these guys. It would be illegal to do so, and the only way in theory that you could do that would be to massively change the landscape of where these guys become employees, and then maybe you'd have an opportunity to do that, but I don't think that's the route that these schools want to go either. So, yeah, if you want a cap, well, then they're full-time employees. Okay, well, that opens up a whole other can of worms. So you're probably better off not having a cap. And even then, a cap, I don't know, how much that's really going to prevent the tampering issues that are going on. I mean, that's really the thing. That's the issue. It's not even the money and all of that. To me, it's just the fact that there are clearly some schools of which, whoever you want to point to, I guess, but there's clearly tampering going on, but you got every way around it because, oh, well, that wasn't us that called. That was a booster. We're not in charge of him. We have no control over that. Now, are those boosters in that school talking? Of course they are, but can you prove it? No, probably not. And so as long as you just claim that it's all separate like it's supposed to be, even though it's probably truly not, there's not really much that the NCAA could do about that, and I don't think they really want to get into the business of handing out death penalties again, because I think that would be their death penalty pretty much right away. That would be, I mean, the moment you go after a Miami or a just I keep kind of saying the same schools and not intentionally, or USC or Oregon or Michigan or whoever, they're going to fight back this time around because you don't really have that much to hold over their head, especially with all this new money through TV deals that are going to be coming through. I think the schools see, like, we don't need you as much as you need us at this point.
Yeah.
And we have an out, and you really don't have anything to keep us here ultimately. So I think the writing's on the wall in that regard. I think every arrow's been pointing to a breakup of some sort. And, I'm sure the NCAA would probably still host the tournament or whatever, but that would probably be about what they do and maybe a couple of other things. But, yeah, you can't just go around threatening death penalties, and you can't put a cap on the money because then that's just against the whole free market thing, and that would go into a whole nother territory of legalities and whatnot.
Well, then you'd definitely be saying schools need to take over NIL, which they don't really want to do. And two, then you're leading into collective bargaining because there are caps in professional leagues because they are collectively bargained by unions. So the Major League Baseball Players Association has agreed to the competitive balance tax, the luxury tax. The NBA, the same way. The NFL has agreed to the salary cap. The players' union have agreed to the salary cap. And they agree to that because there's other benefits on the other side, and they know they're making a lot of money anyway. So that's why they've agreed to it. Now, are they always happy with it? No. But they've agreed to it. They voted on it. And, like this last NFL CBA was very contentious, but it passed. And so until the next one, they'll go through it all again and lambaste franchise players and the number of the salary cap and restricting the movement and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, they'll vote on something that's going to make them a lot of money and they'll be fine. I mean, that's what they do. So yeah, college athletes aren't employees, and so that's why it is. Now, look, we've got a couple people here that said that college athletes are at a school to play ball, and let's see, it's your boy Oz says it's been more compelling because of NIL and the transfer portal, and I can't deny that it's more compelling knowing that you could wake up any day and you've got free agent news. Just as someone who covers it and enjoys college football, I don't mind that's a possibility. I would just wish it was, confined like every other sport we cover to certain periods of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been fun to see all of the activity. I mean, it's definitely kept the news fresh and kept the cycle going. And, you get to a little bit of a lull and all of a sudden here's the Jordan Addison story. Or you get a little bit of a lull and all of a sudden, some other guys enter in the portal. Yeah, the portal's made it a lot more fun. I think everybody likes the portal. I think everybody wants the portal to continue. I think the one thing, again, that it's not an anti-NIL, even though I know there are some people that are anti-NIL. But, I mean, for those people, again, you could have that feeling, but just know that you are completely in the wrong on it and that you are not going to be on the winning side of the argument ever, because NIL is not something you can fight against. You cannot argue against these guys making money off their name, image, and likeness. That's been proven now. Should have been proven a long time ago, but it's not going away. Now, while it's been a lot of fun and it has shaken things up, and it definitely gives you the ability as a team, if you're just missing a couple of pieces from being a championship squad like a Baylor was last year, you go get a Siaki Ika from LSU. He plugs your nose tackle spot that you needed plugged up, and hey, you're Big 12 champs, and they had a couple of other additions that helped with that as well in the O-line and at wide receiver. But, that they're missing pieces without that transfer portal. Do they have that same team that goes and wins a Big 12 and Sugar Bowl? Probably not. Probably not, honestly. They might drop another game or two without those guys they brought in, for all we know. But at the same time, the one thing that I do wish would get corralled a little bit is just the nature of some of this, of the fact that a Jordan Addison could be, and he's probably not the best example because, I mean, I totally get why he would want to leave Pitt. I don't necessarily like it, but I totally get why, and I don't not like it because of him. I just don't like it for Pitt. And I know there's an argument, well, they should pay more. Well, it's like the moment we start asking these schools to have to match everything just to keep their players on campus, I think that's where it gets a bit ridiculous of like, well, it's Pitt's fault that they didn't pony up money for Jordan Addison. And like to some degree, yes, but they already landed him. Why should they have to then turn around and, oh, he won the Blitnikoff? Okay, we can argue circles about what they should owe and how much they should have to pay and how much you should have to re-recruit your guys over and over and over again. That's what I don't like, is just the fact that schools do all that work to bring these guys on, and then a school can just call them up randomly through a booster, through a DM, and then get in their heads and offer them money, and then those guys are out the door. And I just think that's that backdoor way that it's appearing to go on for some guys. I don't like that part of it. I think it needs to be more on the up and up. And outside of that, I'm cool with the rest of it. It's just let's get some of the sliminess out of there, if at all possible. And putting in guidelines would hopefully help you do that, which is what they talked about yesterday. But would it eliminate it? Probably not, but at least curtail it a little bit. That'd be good, and it wouldn't stop the news. Like, you'd still have guys going in the transfer portal left and right. You'd still have a Jordan Addison caliber player still leaving. You still have these big coaching changes, and then guys following those coaches, like we saw with some OU guys going with Lincoln Riley. The only difference would be you just wouldn't have to worry about your best player getting a phone call from Ohio State in the middle of July because they suddenly need a cornerback, and your best player is now suddenly out the door for $1 million. Like, that's where I think it sucks, and it's not